Hi guys, and welcome back to Mrs. Shipley's first grade classroom. Today I'll be doing a video on an author illustrator video, and the author that I decided to do my video on is Alan Say. The reason I decided to do this author is because I've heard of him, but I didn't really know a lot about him, so I wanted to increase my knowledge on this author and then share it with you guys. Let's get started. So Alan Say is a Japanese-American writer/illustrator. He was born in Yokohama, Japan. His father was a Korean orphan, and his mother was also a Japanese-American. Sadly, his parents divorced at the age of 8, and he was sent to live with his father, and his sister lived with his mother. At the age of 12, he was sent to a school in Tokyo by his dad to live with his maternal grandmother. Sadly, his grandmother and him didn't really get along, much like him and his father didn't get along, so they came up with this agreement that he would live in an apartment close to the school. At this school, he apprenticed with Noro Shinpai, a cartoonist that he looked up to greatly. At 16, his father moved to America with a new family and asked Alan to join him and if he wanted to come to America with him, and he did. Unbeknownst to Alan, his father had actually enrolled him in the Harding Military Academy in California. There he was the only non-white student and was actually segregated from the rest of his classmates, which is really crazy because that's just really sad to think about. There he actually got expelled for smoking a cigarette in the bathrooms, and he then was enrolled into the Citrus Union High School, where he started to focus on his artwork again. After he graduated from that high school, he then went back to Tokyo and said that he was never going to come back to America, but a couple of years later he then came back to America and enrolled in architect school. He never actually started because there was a mess up with his paperwork and he never actually was able to go. He then was drafted into the army, and he spent 2 years in Germany. His first work in photography was published in a newspaper called The Stars and Stripes, and he has very many books that he's written. He's written books from Drawing from Memory, The Favorite Daughter, A Grandfather's Journey, which is his most well-known book, and he actually won a Caldecott Award in 1994 for that one, which is really exciting. So I am going to show you some of the excerpts from the books that I read of his that I think are really important to look at his writing style and also his illustration, because that's something that was before he ever became an author. He was really big in illustration. So one thing that I noticed with a lot of his writing is they're all realistic fiction, and most of the characters that he has are Japanese American. So I believe that he took his own personal stories and then added some different things that may have not happened. So that's why it's realistic fiction. So it's based off of a true event, but maybe some things are not as real as they were in the actual event. So the first excerpt I'm going to be reading is from The Lost Lake, which is by Alan Say, and it is on page 14, and it says, "Well, Dad was like a mountain goat. He went straight up the trail, whistling all the while, but I was gasping in no time. My knapsack got very heavy, and I started to fall behind. Dad stopped for me often, but he wouldn't let me take off my pack. If I did, I'd be too tired to go on. He said it was almost supper time when we got to the lake." So what I really like about his writing style here is it's the truth. If a kid was actually going on a very big hike, normally they're going to be tired. And I like how he shared that the boy was tired and that the dad was like, nope, we have to keep going, which is really awesome because it also shows that the dad really cares about like teaching his son, like, no, you have to continue to do this or things might not end up the way that you want them to. I also enjoy like in his drawings, they're so realistic, but also you know that they're drawings. So that was really cool to me. The next excerpt is from Silent Days, Silent Dreams, which is also by Alan Say. And this book was also a Caldecott medalist. It did not win, but it was a part of it. Yes. So this one I chose. The turnout was good, and a few pieces were sold. Reporters and photographers hovered around the artist. He stayed long after everyone was gone, looking at his work all in frames, rocking slowly in his shoes. I really also like his writing style because it's very, it's not very detailed. It's very up to the reader to truly understand exactly what he's saying. And I really enjoyed that, like, his writing is, or not his writing, his illustrations are muted but also very colorful at the same time and very realistic, which is really cool. The next book that I have an excerpt from is The Favorite Daughter by Alan Say. The excerpt that I chose is, "Remember this, Father S? My kimono. I loved it. You sure ruined it in a hurry. I liked making art. That was the prettiest kimono I could find in Tokyo, and you made mud pies in it. It was Play-Doh, Daddy, and went to Japan all by yourself. Sweetheart, you were only 2 at the time, a little too young for the trip. So how many pictures do you need for the album? Just 1. This is perfect." So this is about him talking to his daughter about when he went to Japan and how he brought a kimono back for her. And that one day he would take her back, which is so sweet to think about. And I love how it was an actual true story. And the way that you know this is because it's realistic fiction. But another thing he did in this book that is really cool is there's an actual picture of his daughter in the book, which is just, it's so sweet and so cute. And I really enjoyed because it makes me feel as though the author really connects with the reader because he's willing to share his life with his readers. The final book that I have an excerpt from is The Kamishibai Man by Alan Say. This is about a storyteller, and the page that I decided to take an excerpt from is page 24. "I got up and sat on the stage. 'What's your favorite story?' I asked. 'Little One Inch,' he answered, so I told him the story of a little brave little boy who was only 1 inch tall, and as I told the story, the boy never looked at the picture cards on the stage. He was looking at me the whole time, with his mouth wide open. He even smiled now and then. When I finished the story, I started to take out some sweets to give him, but he was already running away. 'Wait!' I shouted, but he kept running and never turned his head. That was the last time I saw that boy. That was the last day I was the Kamishibai Man." So I just really like this because it's talking about when he was telling all of his stories, and he didn't really think that many people liked hearing his stories, but then at the end of the story, all of the people that he had told the stories for told him that they were raised on his stories, and I just thought it was a really sweet way to share like some stories that he had, and I really enjoyed those books. So when you first look at these books, they don't look like very good children's books because they're not very bright and colorful, but I would encourage you guys to read them because I personally really enjoyed them. I thought they were really sweet stories, and they really spoke to the heart because they were his personal stories that he decided to share with people. And the artwork is so interesting and fun to look at. And I encourage you guys to either look up things about Alan Say, because I had no idea that people typically were illustrators before they ever were writers, and I think it's so awesome that he decided to share his gift with the world. And I really encourage you guys to look up another author because there's so many things that we can find that we don't really know about. So, can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye!